We're continuing our conversations in the Lansing School District, and Rachel Willis is with us. Rachel is the Vice President of the Board of Education, and for a long time was President, and it's a lot of responsibility to be President or Vice President of a Board of Education. I just want to make sure everybody knows these are volunteer positions. You actually stepped forward to fill that role, and the school district certainly appreciates it. Now in leadership in this 2020 and going into 2021 environment, how are we doing in Lansing? What do you think?
Yeah, thank you, Bob. It's great to be here. And I'll tell you, it has been one crazy year. When we started this school year or this calendar year, we thought our biggest task on the horizon was to fill the position of superintendent. And we never could have imagined the additional challenges that would face us this year. So we are just incredibly thankful for our team. I think the word of this year that we are all tired of hearing is pivot. So I'm not going to use that word, but we have adapted and adjusted and have been incredibly agile. This team of leaders we have in our school district, between our superintendent, our executive team, our principals, our staff, our teachers, anybody employed by the district, and then our students and our parents, have all just come together and been a wonderful team adjusting to these just crazy times. I will tell you, the day that we had our first case in Ingham County, we had a school board meeting that evening. And I remember getting pulled aside. We had gone on a break or something that evening, and someone said, there is a case in Ingham County. You know, after we adjourn the meeting, we're going to want to stick close to the news so we can hear what may happen, because, you know, it's the first case here and we're concerned about it and we want to keep people safe. And the next day, the governor announced that we were suspending in-person learning for several weeks, and that ended up turning into suspension of in-person learning through the school year. And that particular meeting was an interview for superintendent, and we had a whole timeline of folks in place to come in for interviews and next steps, and we just thought we were going to chug right along, and maybe we're going to have to buy some masks and plexiglass, but what we've had to do since that day in March has just been unbelievable.
It really has been incredible. I mean, if you think about the Lansing School District just distributing 10,000 devices so that kids and their families can connect, and then creating different hot spots to make sure that Wi-Fi is available to everybody. It really has been an incredible achievement, and I think you should take some credit and say a few words about the Lansing School District's decision to go early to face-to-face learning when we came back to school, because other districts were a little slow and maybe they regret that right now.
Yeah, I am incredibly thankful that our team sat down and assessed the whole big picture, right? So it was not easy to make the decision to suspend in-person learning through this first part of the school year, and the impact that had on extracurriculars, and particularly sports, was an incredibly difficult decision. So we know what in-person instruction does for our students, and it was a very hard decision to make. But what we have seen is that rushing to do in-person instruction without protocol and being able to properly social distance and mitigate for other risk factors puts people at risk, and that's what we have seen across the state, which has led to this additional set of restrictions. So we are, while it was a tough decision, we're thankful that we did make it. And I'll tell you what, I think back to what our administration did in the spring. We sat down and said, what do our students need to learn? And so we looked through all of the things that they needed, and we looked at, okay, we're going to need to make sure that they're fed. We passed out hundreds of thousands of meals since we've gone remote, because that was something that we needed. we looked and we said, okay, we need access to technology. We are going to get Chromebooks. We are going to get internet access. We are going to get hotspots. We are going to do whatever we need to do to get access to these students. We know that they're going to need education platforms. We pivoted quickly to get training up and running for the education platforms. We knew that families were going to need places for their kids to learn. We leveraged our relationships with community partners and got learning labs together. We knew that our students were going to need additional sets of supports and our families were going to need supports. We put together the parent university. So the district is constantly looking for ways to help our families be successful in this situation.
I think it's amazing that so many other districts kind of sit back and say about Lansing, wow, they really figured it out, because there certainly seems to be a lot of admiration for all of the work that's gone into it. And quite frankly, we have more students than we anticipated and projected. And that's been something that the school district has had to deal with.
Absolutely. And right now we're sitting at over 80% attendance, daily attendance rate. And in non-pandemic times, we sit at roughly 90% daily attendance. And so for there to be that short of a discrepancy between when a pandemic is not happening, just is a great testament to all of the work. And I said this during our last meeting, the Herculean effort of our staff and our students. I mean, it has not been easy. I have a niece in the 4th grade, and she says all the time, these are kids who, we joke about this generation, they were basically born with iPhones in their hands. And so to hear these kids say they're tired of technology is something. So we're definitely trying to find ways to help them adjust. I mean, I never thought that I would have an 8-year-old tell me no thank you to wanting to do something on a computer. So it is something to adjust to.
I can't imagine being a young student in a K-12 system. Well, let's say you're a kindergartner and you have to be online and make that connection and be there for hours. It's really a challenge for these kids.
Yeah, I said that. We even joked about setting up this Zoom call, even our own Zoom fatigue, and how we were going to still stay connected. And I said this during our last meeting, I'm working remotely, and I get paid to be at my computer. And about 4 hours into every workday, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm done. And I get paid to be here and at work, and kids don't get paid to go to school, right? We're asking them to do this. Yes, of course, they're paid back in the enrichment of education, but it's still pretty difficult. And same for our teachers. I mean, that's a lot of screen time that is happening. And I think that if anyone's looking for future research, I would put money on researching the effects of this. Will be a pretty lucrative and popular research field for years to come.
The teachers in the Lansing School District really have been amazing. And if you just take a look at what they've done, they've come up with some real innovative things. Now, your own child's a little bit too early to enroll, but we appreciate you helping out on the future enrollment stuff. So the teachers have been incredible, haven't they?
Oh, so incredible. And I'm even thinking back to the end of the school year, the teachers that would send boxes out to their kids and materials out. And we have amazing distribution meetings with the team. So like one of our schools or several of our schools for Halloween did distribution on Halloween so that kids could, or near Halloween, so kids could still drive through with their costumes, see their teachers, social distance mask, of course, and then pick up their material. So there was still time for them to be engaged and have opportunity to have that FaceTime and interaction. We are doing phone calls, contacting on multiple platforms. It's amazing that these kids can email and like to own their own Google Classroom accounts and own that and connect with their teachers. And it cracked me up. My niece was saying, oh, I just emailed my teacher. And I'm like, you're 8. What do you mean you just emailed your teacher? She goes, well, yeah, when I'll send her a message. I had a question and she'll respond. So, I mean, it's just amazing that the teachers are doing everything.
Well, and just one more look back. If there was something else that you think the school district could have, should have, would have done in hindsight that may have been better before we move forward?
Man, the only thing that I would say is that if we had a crystal ball, um, if we had the capacity to have kids in person and had all the money in the world where we could have smaller classroom sizes, I think that would be the biggest thing that would make the difference. And just if we had known maybe when we were building the new Eastern a year ago, we could have thrown a couple hundred square more feet on, or had thought about maybe needing to secure 100 more buses, at the time when we were, but without a crystal ball, we just couldn't possibly have predicted all of the challenges and curveballs and changes that we've had to do. So with the cards that we have been dealt, I couldn't have asked for anything more different.
Well, and for the foreseeable future, we'll still have face-to-face learning online in the Lansing School District. And there is a target someday to get kids back into school. But during this time, there's a lot of construction work being done in the school. So it actually is kind of a decent time out to allow for us to make some adaptations to some of the buildings.
Yes, so the construction at Everett is still flying along, which they've been able to do a lot more construction and work with the building basically being empty for most of the day. And our bond is still in motion. So certainly invite folks to check on the website to see updates
And,
on our bond projects there.
and what else for 2021 do you think people have to look forward to?
Well, and I was just going to say, so we have a full multidisciplinary team that is working together to put together our return to in-person instruction plan together. So I have no doubt that between our own board physician that's on this group, as well as all of the expertise that we are pulling together to really take a comprehensive look at what we have going for our return to in-person instruction and opportunities for extracurriculars to ramp back up and to be into most of our fully reconstructed and renovated facilities will be incredible. So the song is the cement is still wet. The song is not yet sung. We are still hanging in there. 2021, I still think as an opportunity for us to continue to dream.
And for all the young people who look forward to extracurricular activities, especially sports, looking to move fall to spring certainly is something that the school district is working on. And then any other extracurricular accommodations, because those are really important to kids too, aren't they?
Right. And so for the sports, we were not the only district that did not have school in person in the fall. So the MHSAA is going to have some competition in the spring. It may not be a traditional conference setup like it would have been if you have been able to play with the teams that may have also played in the fall, but there will be competition sports in the spring, barring that there's any shutdown that would restrict that. But the plan is that we would still be able to do those. And then for time-bound activities, so think theater, band, which they're still doing remotely, but think like marching, cheerleading, all those sort of non-time-bound sports. Those will definitely be able to resume once we are able to resume in-person activities.
And the funding formula for schools and students has all changed. But Lansing just went through an audit. The finances look very secure. What do you tell people about making sure that we have the resources available for their kids when they come back?
Yeah, I mean, we are, again, had another clean audit and are going to continue to be good stewards of our foundation allowance dollars. And so we are being very intentional about the investments that we are going to make and continue to make with our extracurricular activities for our students and realize some cost savings that we are going to definitely intend to reinvest going into the spring. And we did receive a little bit of COVID relief funding that is allowing us to offset some of our costs that we have right now. That will give us a little bit more general funds in the spring, hopefully, that will allow for us to equip our schools to be safe for when we return to learn in person and to continue to support our students.
Any final things that you think people should know in Lansing? It's been tough, but it looks like the district has pretty much met the challenge. So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, hang in there with us. Please utilize all of the resources, access online, feel free to reach out and connect. We're still here. Our staff are still working and wanting to support you and your kids. And the Lansing School District is still a great place to be and to learn. And we still want you to dream big. I'm already thinking through, we're not probably going to have our great a launch party that we usually have in January or February at Eastern High School, or the field house, but we'll probably have something that we'll be able to engage and invite our partners to support us in. And so just stay tuned where it will be.
Rachel Willis, Vice President of the Lansing School District Board of Education. Thank you again for joining me in these conversations and sharing your wisdom. And hang in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.